Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, retired librarian turned homeschool mom. And in this video we're going to look at, I'm not sure how to categorize this film. It's not exactly a family film, probably the youngest depending on who you are and your children and how you're raising them. Probably mid to late middle school or older. Again, this depends on you. So we're going to be looking at the 1985 film Clue. Yes, this is based off the board game. This has a massive star-studded cast. So let's go over who the heck it is. This is a John Landis film. In original theaters, what was funny about this is depending on where you saw it, depended on which ending you saw. However, when it came out on DVD, you get to see all 5 separate endings. So yeah, because it's similar to the board game where depending on how you play depends on who the killer is. So the actors in this film, and trust me, this is star-studded like crazy. You have Aline Brennan, who plays Mrs. Peacock, and in the film, she's the wife of a U.S. senator who's apparently into bribery. You have Colleen Camp, who plays Yvette. She's the busty maid, who is a working girl for Miss Scarlet, and is apparently recognized by Miss White as the mistress of one of her husbands. You have the absolutely, utterly hilarious and wonderful Tim Curry, as he's the butler, or depending on the ending, he's also possibly Mr. Body. Once again, depending on the ending. So, then you have Bill Henderson, who plays a cop. So he shows up, apparently part of bribing. You have, let's see, this is just another random person, Howard Horseman. He's some sort of person who's both the chief and the evangelist, so he's apparently uncredited. The other, you have Madeline Kahn, who plays Miss White, who's the widow of a nuclear physicist who died under suspicious circumstances. And Jeffrey Kramer, who plays a motorist. Just random people. And then you have Christopher Lloyd. He's Professor Plum, who's a disgraced former physicist working for the World Health Organization. Michael Keane, who plays Mr. Green, who's a State Department employee in this. Martin Mull is Colonel Mustard, a war profiteer. And then you have someone who plays the cook, who is, I can't pronounce her name, but yes, she plays the cook, apparently former cook for Mr. Body and Mrs. Peacock. And then you have the guy who plays the corpse, who's supposedly Mr. Body, who's leaving, who's someone I've never heard of. Looks like he's a musician most of the time. And there's a few other people. But again, you have a decent star-studded cast of this. So the point of this film, again, it's similar to the board game. If you're not familiar, it's one of my favorites. It's a whodunit thing. So you have these people who have brought, they're all in this mansion. The owner's found dead, and you have to figure out who did it. And that's how they go through this film. They're running up and down through the different rooms of the house, doing different things. People are being freaked out. The maid ends up being killed. The cook ends up being killed. And then you have the very end. And this is what kind of makes it fun, particularly in the DVD version, because you get 5 separate endings. Can't believe, let me pull it up to see who does what. Yeah, so apparently, no, there are 3 separate endings. Or are they 5? I thought there were 5 separate endings. Let me see. It's been a while since I've actually seen this. So, let's see. And then you have, yes, you have plot A, B, or C, ending A, B, or C. In ending A, Yvette murdered the cook and Mr. Body on orders from Miss Scarlet, who she once worked for as a call girl. Scarlet then killed Yvette, who was the maid, and the other victims planning to sell their guest secrets. All of this has to do with blackmail. So that's the biggest thing. Mr. Body was blackmailing everybody. And then, of course, law enforcement, he's in her pocket anyway, and she congratulates Wentworth, who apparently shows up pensively. He's undercover FBI. So, and then accidentally tries to demonstrate the revolver is empty, but remaining bullet brings down a chandelier, narrowly missing Mustard. So that's ending A. And then in ending B, you have Miss Peacock was our killer. She killed all the victims to skill her taking bribes from foreign powers, and then holds the other at gunpoint to allow her to leave. And Wentworth reveals again he's undercover FBI, and he's been investigating her, and then the police come in. So, and then the ending C. And basically, apart from Mr. Green, everyone killed at least one person in this ending. Professor Plum missed Mr. Body with a revolver, but later killed him with a candlestick. Miss Peacock stabbed the cook, her former employee. Colonel Mustard bludgeoned the motorist, somebody who shows up, with a wrench, who was his driver during World War II. Miss White throttled Yvette out of jealousy and hatred for her latter's affair with her husband, whom she also killed. Miss Scarlet cubbed the cop because who she was bribing, and Wentworth reveals that he shot the singing telegram because apparently Professor Plum was having an affair with her, and he is the real Mr. Body. And then the person that Plum killed was Mr. Body's butler, and he's been spying on everybody. And let's see, with his spies and informants disposed of, he plans to continue blackmailing the guests. Mr. Green then draws his own revolver, kills Wentworth, and reveals himself to be an undercover FBI agent. So, apparently also revealing he admitted that he was him being a closet homosexual was a ruse in order to get close to the real Mr. Body. So, and then Green opens the door to bring in the authorities. So, it's kind of funny. And again, you have these three different endings, which is similar to what you would find in the game. It's hilarious. It's pointless, but it's just fun. The reason I wouldn't necessarily, I'm not sure younger elementary kids would enjoy this, besides there's a lot of energy to it, because again, you have Tim Curry. Anything with Tim Curry in it's going to be funny. That's just what he does. He brings a lot of energy to films. And then you have someone like Christopher Lloyd in there, two of the great, absolutely fabulous comedians. There's a lot of comedy in this. But younger elementary school kids aren't necessarily going to get it. There's no real blood and gore. You do not see any of that whatsoever. I'm trying to think if this is... What is this rated? Is this going to actually tell me what this is rated? Let's see. It's just, I mean, it's not dangerous. It's just not necessarily interesting for younger children. Let's see. Filming. It actually didn't do well in the box office just because of the multiple endings. Now it has a cult following for good reason. Let's see. No, it's still not telling me what this is. What's it's rated, but nonetheless, it's... Again, I think younger kids would enjoy it, but it depends on you because, there's a lot of blackmail going on. The younger kids aren't going to understand half of it because they would probably enjoy a lot of running around. Again, there's no blood, there's no gore, there are multiple deaths, but again, they're not graphic because that's not what this is about. It's a comedy movie. It's not meant to be dark at all. It's just hilarious. It's a dark comedy because, it's funny about people dying, but again, it's not blood and gore at all. It's a movie based on a board game. And probably one of the few that does very, very well, just because it has this amazing cast of absolute, utter hilarious people who know exactly. I mean, you have Martin Mull here, another absolutely, utterly hilarious comedian. So it's fun. It makes no sense whatsoever. You can see the multiple endings. That's how I saw it when I first saw it, I think probably on HBO, where you see the different endings, and that's how it works well when you get to see all of them. And that's how it became once it came out on VHS and DVD, and you were able to see all of them. It gained this huge cult following and did very, very well in the take-home film market. So, but it was, and I think in the theaters that showed all three endings, it did very well because people enjoy that. So it's a fun family film. It makes no sense. I mean, the major plot is the plot of a board game is you have a murder and then various other people's are murders, and then there are people who are paired up and are randomly running around this house up and down stairs. And you have a singing telegram that gets shot, you have a cop that shows up, you have a random standard motorist who comes to the door, various people are killed. Again, not graphic, you don't really see anything, and it's funny. I mean, that's the entire point. If you're looking for something to put in just to enjoy yourself with your kids, with your family, throw this in. I mean, Tim Curry. Even teenagers will just think this is corny just because it's funny. It's completely, again, pointless. You have 3 different endings. It doesn't really matter who killed Mr. Body or who the murderer was. It's just a chance to see this story play out and see these amazing comedians do their stuff. And Tim Curry, just absolutely utterly hilarious, both as an FBI agent and supposedly Mr. Body. But again, it's fun. It's very, very fun. That's the reason I included. I own it, obviously. And something I probably would show to elementary school kids if you're looking for something funny. It has no educational value whatsoever. If you happen to love the game Clue, which I do, it's something to put in. It's like, not only do you love this game, you have this random, various, odd film from 1985. I don't necessarily consider the fact that Green is considered a homosexual as a drawback, because this came out in 1985 and the story is supposed to take place in like 54. So again, it's something you would be blackmailed over. So yeah, the story is supposed to take place in 1954. So, and then you have Miss Peacock, who supposedly murdered husbands, and you have bribery things, and none of these 6 characters are actually good people, because again, otherwise they wouldn't be being blackmailed for various things. Multiple husbands, taking bribes, being a war profiteer. So, but it's fun. It's entertaining. Seeing these people run up and down this mansion. It's all in one building, takes place in one night. It has no plot, really, except for who did this murder, and of course there's multiple answers, and it doesn't actually matter. So that's what this is. It's a fun, kind of family, quirky game comedy with Tim Curry and Christopher Lloyd and Martin Mull and various other absolutely, utterly fantastic comedic talents from the 80s, and they're still around, most of them. They're still around doing wonderful, wonderful things most of the time. So that is it for this review. I know this is not a longer of my reviews, but if you like this review, check out the rest of my channel. I do a bunch of stuff, mostly family films and children's book reviews. This month I'm covering the first half of Harry Potter, finishing up in October. I'm looking at Tamora Pierce's Circle of Magic Quartet. I'm covering this and a couple more films. Check out, I'm doing, I think, Free Willy, Mr. Holland's Opus, Fly Away Home, and then this film this month. October is packed full with a bunch of stuff, from the finishing up the Harry Potter series to looking at classic horror films like Dracula and Frankenstein and I think The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is in there, as well as, I can't remember, I did one more, The Phantom of the Opera. And then I do some fun kid stuff like Bunnicula. And then, of course, fun family Halloween films like Hocus Pocus and Casper. And I show my age because, yes, I'm from the 90s. And these are the films that I remember, and not to mention they're often ones that I own. So that's what I kind of have coming up. I have a bunch of fun Christmas stuff coming up in December. I've covered a variety of children's books, some film stuff. I did the Wizard of Oz as well as the Anne of Green Gables book series and their film adaptations. A variety of other things. I did a variety of homeschooling stuff. We are non-religious or secular homeschoolers, so I did some homeschooling videos. I also did some kids travel videos. So, and I have a bunch more planned. So if you like what you see, like and subscribe, and look forward to more. Thank you.